Good morning, brother and sister. Today we read again from Heavenly Tribe, Hoondok. Okay, this is chapter 2. Okay, focus please. Chapter 2, Heavenly Parent's Ideal created the world. And this is part 2. Okay. Heavenly parents who want to appear substantially. The relationship between Heavenly Parent and humankind through parents' words. God's last step in realizing His purpose of creation was to assume a form. The incorporeal God cannot govern the physical world directly. So to be the father and mother of all humankind, God has to manifest in physical form. He has to embody himself in the physical form of human beings so that when these human beings relate to one another as subject partners and object partners and are stimulated through their sensory organs, he also will experience that stimulation. When God created heaven and earth, He did so with absolute faith and absolute love, based on the absolute, unique, unchanging, and eternal ideal. The reason God created was to find the partners whom He desired. The invisible God, the God without form, wanted partners of love who will be his visible manifestation, and having form, they will be His representative in the world of form. God will have become embodied in them. This was God's first purpose of creation. It is the same with regards to the spirit world. Although God is incorporeal, God can become the Father and King in the spirit world as well, once His ideal of creation is fulfilled to human beings with form, Adam and Eve. That will occur when Adam and Eve, who have bodies, and their sons and daughters who have bodies, come to the spirit world. It will be impossible for God to do this without assuming form. Then whose form will that be? God's face will be none other than the faces of Adam and Eve, who will have reached perfection and become one in conjugal union after receiving God's blessing. Adam and Eve are the partners of God's love. People up to now generally have asserted that created beings cannot stand in a position equal to the Creator. However, if that were true, it would be impossible for the Creator to realize His ideal of love. God's ideal of love is to relate to His children, Adam and Eve, as the corporeal substantial object partner and attain oneness with them for eternity. God wants to dwell in human beings. The moment that those human beings reach perfection as His object partner is the starting point for the incorporeal God to realize His ideal of love through substantial human beings. Sharing thoughts. After the fall of humankind, it is true that the incorporeal Heavenly Parent was living in the same position as human beings, humankind. We could compare it to the thought we have heard from Helen Keller, who had 3 disabilities. She said that blind people could offer a clue to those who are not blind. Tomorrow, try covering your eyes to resemble the disability experienced by a blind person and reflect upon that. Then try experiencing what it is like to be devoid of the sense of touch. The following day, reflect about the disability experienced by a deaf person. Imagine being capable of hearing any sounds, but able to only imagine the pleasant sounds you once enjoyed hearing. such as the happy chatter of children, the chirping of birds, and the howling of the wind. Then the day after that, try to imagine what it will be like to experience the disability of no sense of smell. You will not be able to enjoy the beautiful fragrances of flowers or the smell of tasty food. It is a blessing to have a body that you can move as you please, eyes to see, a sense of touch, and hearing to experience sound. Also, you live life capable of enjoying the fragrance of flowers that smell the best. But why is it that you are not singing praises? Have you forgotten to be grateful? On the other hand, there could be someone unable to move who has no sense of touch and cannot see or hear. But that person has realized something that is immensely precious. The American author and activist Helen Keller lived with 3 disabilities. She could not see, hear, or speak. She possessed a body but lived her life as if she were without one. Thanks to the devoted care of her parents and her teacher, caretaker Anne Sullivan, despite suffering physical disability, she was able to enjoy an unfettered mental existence. Heavenly Parent does not have even a physical disabled body such as Helen Keller's. Helen Keller longed to have a healthy body, so just think how desperately Heavenly Parent must have longed for human sense. The incorporeal Heavenly Parent was no physical body. What is the dream of Heavenly Parent? Heavenly Parent's purpose of creation, in fact, can be for the incorporeal Heavenly Parent to make use of the corporeal body of humankind. Heavenly Parent did not create people from a distant position from which to experience happiness by merely looking upon them. Heavenly Parent desired to live present in the heart of humankind in His form, using their physical bodies and experiencing the invigoration of love among them and love among all creation. In this instance, Heavenly Parent become human, and human beings become Heavenly Parent, attaining deity. Heavenly Parent come to experience character, and the human beings become the entities with character that will attain divinity. Likewise, living a life in which the love between humans and Heavenly Parent become one, the incorporeal and the corporeal world become one, is the embodiment of the relationship between Heavenly Parent and humankind, the parent-child relationship. We treasure the desperate will and desire of the incorporeal Heavenly Parent to use the body of humankind. From this point forward, we will strive to attain a mind and body within which Heavenly Parent can reside. We must realize that Heavenly Parent's fervent desire to use the body of humankind can be realized through us, and that we should become true people who can attain oneness with the love of the Heavenly Parent. Heavenly Parent does not require money, power, or mighty, only love. Heavenly Parent created this world in order to establish a corporal partner with whom to share love, and in particular created humankind for this purpose. The greatest desire of Heavenly Parent is to attain a substantial relationship of love with humankind who were created in His image. What kind of relationship It's a love relationship between the Heavenly Parent and humankind. Love itself is like a magnet that has the power to stick to something once it's attached to an object of desire. True parents have used the metaphor of honeybees when describe love. In spring, the honeybee awakens from its long hibernation and has a taste of fresh honey. The honeybee is so intoxicated by the taste of honey that its stinger can be removed with tweezers. Even with its stinger removed, you will see honeybees that cannot separate themselves from the honey. What about you? Once you have experienced the taste of the true love of Heavenly Parent, even if you flee from it, you will return and stick to that true love. Once we come to know this true love of Heavenly Parent, we will strive to never lose it. Then how it is for Heavenly Parent? He too would wish to never part from his children. He would want only to be completely one with them. That is because Heavenly Parent resides within our hearts and minds. Heavenly Parent dwells within my heart, and when I become one in body with my incorporeal Heavenly Parent, Heavenly Parent will walk alongside me, and when I am in thought, Heavenly Parent is in thought with me, and when I am joyful and sorrowful, Heavenly Parent will be joyful and sorrowful with me. This is the parent-child relationship that was formed between Heavenly Parent and me. Point of contemplation. Where would Heavenly Parent, who loves us, desire to remain ultimately? Let us deeply meditate on the significance of my heart and Heavenly Parent's heart becoming one, and my body and Heavenly Parent's body becoming one. Definitely Heavenly Mom and Dad desire to stay in our hearts, in our minds, in our body, in every cell of our body. He wants to be with us when we love and when we sing or when we dance, when we work, when we go to job or school, or when we cook, or when we wash, or when we walk, or in everything that we do. Many times I feel like it's not me that love God, it's God that loves me. Even though I say I love God, it's nothing compared with God's love. And even though I think I can say I have faith in God, it's many times I feel like God have faith in me. That I can grow up, that I can create that kind of status in my heart, in my mind, in my body, in my spirit, where God can come and dwell. And I believe that when God comes and dwells, He will stay in us and become part of us for eternity. It's not only our beloved true parents who reach this status, but each and every one of us, we have to work constantly and ceaselessly until we reach such a alignment of our mind, body, and spirit with Heavenly Mom and Dad. Yeah, this is so beautiful. I hope and pray that each one of you and me too, we can truly become substantial manifestation of Heavenly Mom and Dad. That we can become that children that Heavenly Mom and Dad is proud of us and applaud us and cheer us and find delight in us when she look to us, to find delight and joy. when we become such a magnet of love that God will never want to be a part of us. Yeah. Well, my brother and sister, I let you have your own meditation regarding these wonderful, precious words of our beloved parents, and upon this point for contemplation. Have a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous day. Bye.